Hi, everyone. Today, I have a special treat for you on the podcast. It's a farmer who I've known for years now, Julia Bell, who happens to live here in Oregon, which is wonderful because I don't always get to meet my clients, but we've gotten to meet several times over the years, and I buy your farm products. And so it's just super, especially wonderful to have you here on the podcast. And so, Julia, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us where you are, what you farm, and your website so we can get to know you.
Sure. Yes. Hello. My name is Julia Bell, like Charlotte said, and I live in Lebanon, Oregon. We farm grass-fed and pastured meats. Currently, we're farming beef and pork. And then our website is nourishedwithnature.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and sharing what I know has been a long journey for you to start your farm and get to the point where this interview came about because you posted such a touching post in our private Facebook group about how you're finally living the life you dreamed of in farming that you struggled so much with to get here. So I want to hear about that, but take us back to when you joined this program, which we've been together several years now, a lot of years. I think maybe you only had one or two kids when we met. Now you got three little boys. So what were you struggling with that made you decide you needed some help and needed to get marketing and mindset help?
Yeah, good. Well, yeah, we've been farming for 14 years, and we've been in your program for 9.
Oh my
And we've
gosh, I didn't know it was 9 years. Wow.
Yeah, back when you had, I think you just had Farm Marketing from the Heart,
Mhm.
and we found you watching some YouTube videos about how to milk a cow because
Y-
we had a
Yep.
milk cow for our family at the time, and I had one, I probably had one like 2-year old and a newborn, possibly, and we went from. My husband has a background in grew up on a farm. I mean, his dad raised pigs and sheep and cows in Utah, and I raised pigs in 4-H and showed horses in 4-H and FFA. So growing up, we had a little bit of ag, and we knew we wanted to raise our own food. And then it turned into this: why don't we raise 6 more pigs and sell them? And it turned into, I think we're going to make a business out of this, but um, how do we make a website? Like where do we even start? I did not know how to do any of that technical website making or building. And this is kind of, and you were there, like you showed up and you were in my Facebook feed, and you were in my, I think we had bought your book, and I think you were doing things with Joel Salatin. So you were just like in my world of farming and natural farming. And I thought, okay, she's got step-by-step instructions for how to set up my marketing and how to set up my website and what to do. We know how to raise the animals, but we don't know how to do the business side of it.
Yeah, and that's what most farmers don't even realize that. Like they're really good at farming, but why is nobody buying our stuff? Marketing, as you're learning, marketing is a whole separate business that you have to pay attention to. Yeah, can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know you and I've coached you on, yeah, you have to set aside time to market in addition to farming and who's going to handle that. So, yeah, speak to that for a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So my husband is really the one who has a love of the land and a love of animals and a love of farming like in his blood. I just wanted to feed my family healthy and know what I was feeding them. But um, so he takes care of like the day-to-day chores, but I'm the one that's like got the people skills from training horses and from being a horsemanship instructor. So I took on took on your program, and I love learning, and I love diving into self-improvement. I've always loved um self-improvement and just like how can I do that better. So So I took that on, and it's not been easy, right?
Yeah.
It's not been easy to learn how my mindset affects how I write my emails and how I interact with my customers. And it's not been easy to show up for farmers markets week after week when it just feels like hard and a burden. And there's been several times in our farming journey in the last 7 years been here in Oregon that it's been like, let's quit. Let's
Yeah.
not do this. Let's just go on vacation every weekend. But now through time management and through your program, like I know how to tell those thoughts to get in the back seat, and I know how to manage my time to book those family vacations. And and so and now I can just go on and on. Like now I can look at my email numbers when someone unsubscribes and go, oh, good, I'm glad they're getting out of here because, I'm not for them. Maybe I'm not the right farmer for them. Or,
Yeah, all the
um,
mindset shifts you've been able to make. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, and like it's like you said, we've been together for years in this program, and I've watched you grow. And I remember, I think 2 summers ago was the first time you posted in there and said, "Oh my gosh, this summer our family went camping 3 times. We used to never be able to leave the farm from May till through October, and you went camping 3 times with your family of 5."
yeah,
What's it mean to you to be able to do that now?
I mean, that's the difference between life and death. I mean, that's extreme, but that's the difference between continuing to farm or not. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
I
you've
have
made it
little,
sustainable.
yeah, my kids then were like 9 and 7 and 5. And um so I wanted to do all the fun family things, but here we had 60 pigs and 25 cows and 100 chickens and 50 turkeys, and it was just like it felt impossible to get away. But what that wasn't true. Like it was just a mindset, or it was just a choice we were choosing to think that it was impossible to get away.
Mm.
And so we, at the beginning of the year, we do your calendaring where um, we plan out our whole year and we put our fun things in first. And
Just like I teach, because if you
yeah,
don't, you will sacrifice them.
if it just is left up to chance, like maybe we'll get away, there's always more work to do. There's
Yeah.
always firewood to split and garden to harvest, and it just won't happen. So we do that now where um, we prioritize we prioritize our family time. And I would have never done that. So many farmers in my area are just run ragged, and they're sick of it, and they've got a grumpy face at the farmers market, and they're just like
Yeah.
they're just trudging through, honestly.
Yeah. And one of the things that happen almost has to happen with almost every farmer is many of, if not all of you, are not charging enough. Like there's no way you can hire someone to go to the farmer's market for you so you can be able to go camping if you're not charging enough. And I know we've coached on that before. Speak to that a little bit. What's that been like to get your prices to increase your price and then realize it's still not enough? Because I know we've done that over the years. What
Yeah.
was that journey like?
Yeah. Well, I'd say like 7 years ago, we looked at like the beef market values or the USDA beef prices, and we just based our New York steaks and our tenderloins by that. We just said, that's what they're charging, that's what we'll charge. And then we learned about some of the price calculating worksheets you have, and we're like, oh, so we raised our prices about 25%. And that, you know, and then the first time we did that, it was like pulling teeth. It was like nobody's gonna buy this, and this is ridiculous. We're the most expensive around. Um, but what happens is everybody kind of follows us. Like they
Yes.
are looking around and seeing what prices are, and then they raise their prices too. But um, we've raised our prices probably like 4 times in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And between last year and this year, another 25% jump because we are like, that's really the cost of doing business. This is the first year I've paid myself to work on our farm from January till now. Like I pay myself an hourly rate, keep track of my time, and I'm all of a sudden like happy to do the work and
Gosh,
glad.
we coached so hard on that. That's why I love having you on the podcast because, like you said, this is the hardest work you'll ever do, but it's the most fulfilling work you ever do. So we coached hard, and you're not alone in that there are tears at some of the things we coach on, like, but how can I possibly raise them to a place where we can afford to hire someone? But now, when you finally develop the confidence through coaching to do that, you create sustainability. And you're, like you just mentioned, you're an example of what's possible to other farmers at your same market. We're like, oh, you gave them permission to consider that they can start to make a living on their farm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not easy to do to write yourself a check or yeah, but it wasn't at first. Now I look forward to it. And
Well, it meant the difference between you were ready to quit more than
that's right.
once. And
Yeah.
and and I remember asking, like, what's one thing that would have to happen? You were like, well, if I got paid for this, it'd feel a lot better. It's like, well, yeah. So just
Yeah.
notice that shift.
I
Yeah.
can't believe we went 7, 8, 9 years without ever paying ourselves. And
Yes.
like, oh, it just feels like this is a real business. And of course, looking at our books, it looks like we shouldn't be able to afford to pay ourselves or to pay our employees. We have 2 employees that work the farmers markets for us, do chores when we're gone, go pick up meat from the butcher for us, and like chop blackberries in the pastures, do farm work and farmers market work.
That's great.
So yeah, it's so great because when she's out working, I'm like, okay, now I can sit in my office and write my marketing emails and do the things that only I can do.
Yeah.
And it feels amazing. It feels like I'm supported and yeah, we got this. It's like a ball that's rolling.
You've built a sustainable farm through coaching and the I call the 3 pillars of the farm that we teach in the program. You spent the last few years in the program: time, money through marketing, and mindset. And now you've built a sustainable farm. I want to speak to the most recent thing you posted in the Facebook group, which is when I was like, I got to get you on the podcast to talk about it. And you said, now I've raised our prices to the point where I'm paying people to do those things so I can do only the things I can do, which are being a mother and a wife. You get to be a mom to your 3 boys and a wife to your husband, like you haven't been able to be in the last 7 years. Talk about that, because that was a really emotional post for everyone to look at. And you're such a wonderful example in there that this is attainable when you double down and do the hard work. But tell me more about that. What's that like
Yeah.
now? Describe it. You were frying bacon.
Yeah. I was in the kitchen. Uh, it was Saturday morning, so I was in the kitchen cooking breakfast for my family. The kids were playing on the living room floor with trucks and animals and cars and blocks. And I'm in there cooking, and I'd already sent off my 2 employees to their markets in different directions. And and I just had this feeling of peace come over me, like there they go to do the work, and here I am to be present with my kids and be in my home where I want to be. This is where I
Mhm.
want to be. It's like in my home, being a mom to my kids and being present for them. And the money's coming in. Like the
Mhm.
money is out there. People are doing things. Our people are doing the things, and the money's going to come in, and I get to sit here with my family. And it was like, okay, this is how good it can be
Yeah.
if we do the scary things of hiring help, paying the help, training the help. Um, because I've always wanted to be a mom. Like that's been my dream. And then I've always had this other feeling of like, but I should be doing something more, but it's not enough just to be a mom.
Mhm.
And, I should be contributing and I spent my first, 10 years of motherhood doing that. Like You coached someone in our group this week who just had a newborn and she was pregnant, or maybe she had a 2-year-old and she was pregnant.
Mhm.
And she's like, I'm just not getting to all the things. And it's like, you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need more help.
Yep.
You're not supposed to be able to do all the things plus be a mom.
Yeah, our society, the phrase I used with her, and it's so applicable, is our society socializes us as women. One of the messages we get is you need to be a mom as if you don't work, and then you need to work, show up at work as if you don't aren't a mother. And we're given these constant messages. So then when I get a mom who's pregnant and has a 2-year-old and thinks I'm not doing good enough in my day job at the farm, we have to turn that around. And you've done such a great job at that. And also, a lot of people in the farming world, maybe even in any business world, when they're struggling so hard with what you were struggling with 7 years ago, you didn't know where to start, you weren't making money, you spent the first few years really just feeling terrible about having to raise your prices until you finally did. Everyone wants like quick fix. What is the thing that's going to make us profitable now? And I just want everyone to really let it sink in that you've been shifting your mindset. Like you spent a lifetime thinking the way you were thinking that wasn't helping you. And so now you've spent the last many years with me coaching, giving it all the time it takes. And I think if I'd have told you 9 years ago, like, oh, yeah, you can have the life you dream of, Julia, but it's going to take 9 years, I don't know if you'd have been willing to do it. But it's all, and it doesn't take everyone 9 years. You've been having babies and, doing all the things, but you have, every year you've been here, you've grown even more. Can you speak to that, to the people that are thinking, why would I sign up for something that takes a year minimum? Because my program's a year long, a year to do that. Isn't there something faster? What do you have to say to those, the sneaky thoughts?
Yeah. There's no shortcut to the top. Like that's what I would say is like there's no shortcut or short fix to anything worth having long term. I mean, whether it's because because we are developing as people. Like who I am as a person is the reason why customers buy from me. And
Yeah.
you've told me that before, like people buy because of the relationship they have with you. So I'm becoming the best version of myself that I can be, and that is not something that will ever be done. And that is why I sign up for your program year after year, is
Yeah.
because like I can't afford to just put self-development on the back burner. I mean, I have this like internal drive to be the very best mom I can be.
Yeah.
And this program has helped with that, with relationships and coaching on that. And I have this desire to be like the very best marketer and the very best wife and the very best um, in all that I do. I want to live up to my highest potential. So that's not something, and I've had periods of time, like when I have babies, that my progress slows down a little bit. Like I just take it much slower. And then there's times like today when all three of my kids are in school and I have a 4 hour chunk to myself that progress can be faster. In this period of my life, progress can be faster. But um, but when I had little kids at home, you used to tell me, why are you being so hard on yourself?
Yeah.
And um and I just didn't know any other way. Like I just was
Yeah.
listening to society. But yeah, it does take time, and there's no strategy that I feel like there's no strategy that can replace mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, it's both. It's both together. You can give us all the nuts and bolts, but if our mindset and our minds are tricky, they always relapse to the things that are unhelpful, like
Yeah. Negative.
and the negative. And so we all daily have to be reminded of that. And by being in this program year after year, I mean, I listen to every single coaching call. And so every day I'm learning, and not every day, but at least once a week, I'm learning from other people, and
Hmm.
that is as good as gold.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You, I hope everyone listening can hear it, but I want you to just acknowledge or be aware of the great example of what's possible that you are. Like you are every farm woman's dream to have, okay, maybe not every, but almost every farm woman I meet. It's like, I just want to be able to serve my community with my products, no matter what they are, and have be present to life that's passing me by, whether that's children or, farmers with no children or adult children or whatever it is. You are an example to farmers that they can have the dream if they're willing to give it all the time it takes and get your mindset coached through the hard work. Because many people, when it gets hard, they think that's a sign to quit. And no, it is the hardest thing you'll ever do. The hard means, oh, you got to dive in and get coached more because it's getting harder. And here you are living that dream today. And it doesn't mean, for anyone listening, that Julia and her husband Blake don't face hard times. But when you face the challenges that we all face as farmers from a foundation of peace and having the relationship skills now you've gotten through coaching, when those challenges come up, tell me about that. Like, how is it different for you to deal with a big challenge today versus in your past?
Yeah, yeah. Well, just last night this happened where Blake comes home from work because he works full time off the farm, but he came home from work and by the way, let me just caveat that that's been our choice. Like we realized that it's really good for him to go away to work and then come home. And we've chosen that instead of putting all our eggs in one basket and trying to do all farm work. That's kind of a new development. It's like, yeah,
Good, wonderful, yeah.
yeah. But anyway, he came home. He'd had a busy day at work. The kids all want to talk to him and ask him questions and be in his back pocket. And he's just overwhelmed and like, he's like, I just need to get away from them. And I was able to say to him, isn't that how it's supposed to be? Like, this is how it's supposed to be.
What if nothing's gone wrong?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's right. They, it's okay for you to feel overwhelmed and it's okay for them to want to be with you. And so that's just part of farming. That's just part of being a parent. So that mindset shift, instead of feeling like annoyed, it's like, this is just right. This is how it's supposed to be.
Yes. So
There's
you were
one
able to
example.
help support him as the supportive wife that only you can be. You were able to say one thing that you've learned through all the years of being here that helped him just recognize that, oh, yeah, this is hard and this is how it is being a
Yeah.
working dad.
Yeah. And that reminds me of another hard thing that recently happened. And that is that a customer who's bought half a pig from us for about 4 years, and her kid and my kid went to preschool together last year, and we have her over for dinner, and like we're friends as well as being our customer. Um, with our price increase this year, she said it's just not in our budget. We're not going to buy a half a pig this year. And my brain at first was so sad about that, like so put out and a little bit offended that like she would prioritize money over our friendship. Or I made it mean a bunch of things
Yeah.
for about 2 minutes. And then I caught myself and said, um, that's okay. There's somebody else out there that is waiting in line for our products. And I just released her of any obligation in my mind and was able to respond with her to her text with just no problem. Oh, I understand. It's totally fine. I'll just bump it down to the next person in line. And I didn't have anybody in line quite yet, but actually, like 2 days later in our farm store, somebody showed up and wanted that half a pig.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I did not spend much time at all wallowing in
Yeah.
that hard situation that I could have felt like maybe I should give her the old price, or maybe I'm wrong for raising my price. I mean, was just able to be like, that's okay. It's not for everybody. And then someone new did come along.
and you fully and completely moved on. And that's where farmers that go through this program get their time back, because I'll have farmers come to me and they have been looping on that for 3 or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and then they lower all their prices, and then now they're still losing money. So you buy back your time when you learn to manage your brain in this way. That's amazing. And you preserved your friendship.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like,
And I can now be friends with her with absolutely no like baggage or no like,
yep,
I can't believe you did that to me feelings. That's just, I've completely released her of that. And it
exactly.
feels great. It's amazing.
Yeah. And all of us who we all have to prioritize our spending a little bit. I know I don't know if I know anyone who just has infinite money or who inherited or whatever. So for me, that's raw milk. I will eat a lot cheaper quality of any other meat as long as I have my raw milk for me and my family and make all my own homemade dairy products. Like everything else is a sacrifice because that is the first priority. And every family has that. And who knows what their priority is? It might be private school or a new car, or and none of it matters. But they're prioritizing something else over your products. And that's okay, because there are people, other people who will prioritize your pork over something else in their life, and they'll save money elsewhere to spend money with you. So I love that we can articulate that here, because every farmer needs to hear that if people aren't can't prioritize your farm fresh food, it's okay. Let them go. And I teach you through your marketing how to teach them to prioritize it. Wonderful. Well, so how I like to end these interviews is this investment you've made. You've now invested thousands of dollars in my company over the years to create this dream life. You're finally living your farm's dream life. And yet a lot of us, as especially as women, are socialized not to spend money on ourselves. And if you had a woman, a farmer, reach out to you and say, "Well, I'd like to take that program. It sounds great. I'd love to have the farm life you have, but I just can't see spending that money on myself. I don't, it should go to my kids or my family or the farm or anybody else except me, but yet you make it sound like it's worth it." What would you say to that person who struggles to invest money in the program?
I would say it's a business expense that you can't afford not to have. Like it's going to be your nuts and bolts of your business, and you won't be in business happily in the next year or two if you don't do this. So you can either do your business on your own without this coaching and kind of be miserable and feel like a lost fish, or you can join the program and have all the resources you need. I mean, there's more resources. I've still not utilized all of the resources like social media training. I still have not watched that course. So there's so much value in here. Not only the mindset, but the time management and the year long business planning and the pricing for profit worksheet. I mean, I could go on and on, but
Yeah.
the relationship coaching and the marketing coaching and the website building and the social media, it's all here. Like
And I
I
like to
don't,
say it's a money making course. You make your money back many, many, many times over.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I would agree to that. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I'll just add in like through your coaching, we started our farm with raising eggs, chickens, turkeys, lamb, beef, and pork. So
that's
that's
right.
seven
I remember
products.
that.
We thought we had to do it all, and this year it's two. It's beef and pork, and so
Yeah.
we've whittled down over the years to that, and it feels so amazing. So
Yep.
it's there's no like what I learned from you because you have been a farmer in your past and what I learned from other farmers, there's no other community out there that where we can all get together like that and learn from each other. I'll say.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I had to order my Thanksgiving turkey from somebody else now. So since you stopped doing turkeys at my coaching. So
Sorry.
yep, yep. But how wonderful is it to buy back the time of not being scattered among 7 different income streams on your farm, right? Having
Yeah,
just the 2 species really focuses your time and effort. And you make more money when you focus. That's a big one we work on in the program is most farmers come in with multiple income streams and it sucks the life out of you. You can't get to profit selling all the things unless you can learn to get one thing to profit. So we work on that first, and then you can add the things back in over the years if you want. But you've been a great example of making it profitable by focusing. Well, thanks for being here. I'm grateful. I'm honored to know you and have been a part of this community. Like I said, paying my company thousands of dollars over the years, it is an honor to coach you and watch you grow and see you out in the world being an example of what's possible for other women as a mother and a wife and a farmer making money. Like it's so fulfilling to see. I love it. And so I hope you don't take that lightly that you are an example that it's possible when you're willing to put in the hard mental work. So thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much for being
Oh,
here.
yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.